The 2020 F1 season was unlike any other, despite, and at times because of, well, 2020. Despite a late start and a shuffled calendar, the season ended up being exceptional. So here's a couple of our highlights. We can't not mention the Bahrain Grand Prix and Romain Grosjean's miraculous escape from a horrendous crash. That he walked away with relatively minor injuries from a colossal impact and fireball shows how far F1's safety has come. With a shock pole sitter, unpredictable conditions, and everyone spinning, the Turkish Grand Prix had it all. Formula One has been accused of being boring and predictable, but the race at Istanbul Park in 2020 was anything but. Later in the season, Lewis Hamilton tested positive for COVID-19, giving fellow Brit George Russell a chance to drive for Mercedes at the Sakhir Grand Prix. It was an emotional race, as George went from nearly winning, to nearly losing, to nearly winning, and not winning. It was emotional. Daniel Ricciardo in his last season for Renault finally got to stand on the podium for them, not once, but twice. This of course means now former boss Cyril is getting a tattoo of Danny's choosing, and we can't wait to see him show it off in the paddock later this year. 2020 was a really interesting year. It had everything. It had Stroll on pole, we had Gasly and Perez getting wins, plenty of twists and turns with changes to the driver lineup. Will 2021 be as interesting? Let's take a look at our predictions. So here's what we think the championship table will look like at the end of 2021. 20th position, Nicholas Latifi. While Williams did show signs of improvement in 2020, I don't think we're realistically going to see a payoff until 2022. And of the Williams drivers, Latifi is by far the weaker performer, so I expect to see him bottom of the table once more. 19th, George Russell. George has proved he's an incredibly skilled driver, and I can't wait for him to have a car that matches his talents. However, he doesn't have that yet, and while in 2020 he dragged his Williams to improved qualifying positions, that didn't result in improved points. 18th, Nikita Mazepin. He may start the season as one of the least popular drivers, but he's also making a big jump up to F1 from F2. The Haas cars would have to massively improve to get him higher than 18th place. 17th, Mick Schumacher. It is great to have a Schumacher back in Formula One, but like his new teammate at Haas, he's got a lot to pick up in terms of differences between F2 and F1. And he's in a weak car. Unfortunately, I think this will mean him finishing low down the Drivers' Championship table. 16th, Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi is a favourite in Formula One, but if previous seasons in the Alfa Romeo are anything to go by, I can't see the car improving enough to get him higher up the table. 15th, Antonio Giovinazzi. 2020 was a slightly better year for Giovinazzi, showing signs he was capable of speed in qualifying, and I think we'll continue to see a bit of improvement in him in 2021. 14th, Yuki Tsunoda. Another new driver to the lineup, I think Tsunoda will find the AlphaTauri a good fit for his first year in Formula One. 13th, Fernando Alonso. After taking a break from Formula One, Alonso is bound to be a little rusty, and while Renault, now Alpine, have improved a lot recently, I think it'll take Alonso a little while to get back into the swing of things. 12th, Pierre Gasly. Coming off of his first win in Formula One in 2020, I think Gasly will continue his solid performance for AlphaTauri. The car does need to give him more for him to place higher though. 11th, Esteban Ocon. Ocon did well holding his own against Ricciardo last year, and I think having the returning Alonso as his teammate will only give him more of a push to perform. 10th, Carlos Sainz. Will he end up regretting his move from the improving McLaren to the poorly performing Ferrari? Maybe a bit in 2021. I'm not sure Ferrari can turn things around enough to get the results, but it'll be a solid first year with the prancing horses for Sainz. 9th, Charles Leclerc. As I said for Sainz, I don't think Ferrari will be able to turn it around enough in 2021 to get good results, but 2022 could well be a different story. Leclerc proved in 2020 that he can pull a few decent performances from the car, so I expect he'll manage the same again in 2021. 8th, Lando Norris. Norris is a solid driver with some great skills, but he has still got room for improvement. As the 2021 McLaren should hopefully prove itself a decent midfield car, I think Norris will likewise continue to improve over the course of the year. 7th, Lance Stroll. Hear me out. Racing Point showed great improvement over the course of 2020, as did Lance Stroll. From his fantastic qualifying performance in Turkey and his increasingly decent results, he's showing that he's growing as a driver, and having Seb as his teammate for 2021 in the renamed Aston Martin will mean he continues to show that he can compete with the big boys. 6th, Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo is a great driver, and as he dons the papaya of an ever-improving McLaren, I think 2021 will be a good year for the Honey Badger. 5th, Sergio Perez. I think we all know by now that being Max Verstappen's teammate isn't necessarily the easiest place to be, but Perez has the skills and determination to hold his own. 2021 will be a good year for him, but if he stays with Red Bull, 2022 could be even better. 4th, Sebastian Vettel. This is a tough one, as 2020 was such a poor showing from Seb in the ailing Ferrari, and at times it truly looked like the fight had gone out of him. However, I think the fresh start in the Aston Martin will do him a world of good, and we'll start to see some of the old Seb shine through again. 3rd, Max Verstappen. While Max is clearly getting close to Lewis in terms of driving ability and drive to win, I don't think the Red Bull will get him any higher in 2021. We'll still see him regularly on the podium and probably several wins, but it won't be enough to beat the Silver Arrows this year. 2nd, Valtteri Bottas. Bottas has one of the best cars on the grid and is in direct competition with a now 7-time world champion. However, 2020 and his brief stint with George Russell as a teammate proved that Bottas is still firmly stuck in the number 2 driver spot. Hopefully we'll see a few more wins for the Finn this year, but he'll still have to settle for 2nd overall. 1st, Lewis Hamilton. It'll come as no surprise that we, like many others, predict an 8th World Championship for Lewis in 2021. He's in a league of his own in the Mercedes, and his comfortable victory in 2020 showed he's unlikely to be slowing down this year. However, with his talk of wanting a better work-life balance moving forward, anything after 2021 is a bit of a question mark. So there we have it. What do you think? Do you agree? Disagree? What would you change in our predictions for 2021? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll be back soon with a new video.